I'm the owner of a solar company on North Vancouver Island. Hey, all right. Where exactly?
We're in Campbell River.
Okay, great. Okay, we're the longest standing renewable energy business on the island and have never spent any money on marketing, always relied on word of mouth and our awesome reputation to line up work. In the last few months, we've noticed some large inter-province and internationally owned solar companies are taking a lot more local work than ever before. The customers in these cases are people who are hiring solar companies without getting a local estimate in comparison. These companies have dozens and sometimes hundreds of employees and are spending huge sums on advertising and marketing. We have a total staff of 6 and have never spent any money on advertising or marketing. Any advice for the best strategies going forward as a small solar company competing with huge companies? Well, one is I might actually reach out to Karen, who I don't know if she's still on the call, because Karen particularly focuses on local businesses. Ah, man, I think she may have left. But her name is in the chat. If you scroll, Karen Olson, so Carryn Olson, Olson. I might talk with her because she actually, yes, specifically focuses on kind of helping local businesses. She may have some guidance. Why do you think somebody should hire you versus these other companies?
So many reasons. I mean, so a solar installation comes with materials that come with 25-year warranties. And when ever there's an issue for the length of the power installation, they're generating power for 25 to 35 years, you want to be able to access the company that you're hiring for any of the issues that may arise. And if there's the companies that are cropping up in Campbell River they don't hold offices in Campbell River. They don't have staff. They don't have people that live here. So your warranty is only as good as your ability to access the people who are honoring it. And you have to be able to track them down. It's helpful if you can knock on a door and say, "Hey, I have an issue. Please help me," compared to calling somewhere in California. No offense if there's any folks in California, but yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so how are these solar companies reaching the people? Is it just kind of online ads? Is that
I
mostly
think
it? Or
it's all like Google ads and Facebook ads, but it's hard for me to know because, well, they're also doing door knocking. They hire local college students en masse all over Vancouver Island. They're knocking on doors every single day. And they're doing high pressure sales techniques. Like if you don't get solar, your grandchildren don't have a chance at a future type of sales techniques, which are highly, in our opinion, unethical and also untrue. So, but that's the pressure they're putting on people that are opening their doors. It's life or death. Do this for your grandchildren. And we would never
right.
say that because it's not true.
Well, okay. I would be really digging into the hubs pretty heavily of, okay, the kind of people who would likely invest in solar power would also be spending their time, their money, their attention where? Yeah. And I'd be really thinking like, who are our ideal clients? Where do we find them? What are the hubs? Because there's going to be certain criteria. If, for example, they probably have to own the home, I would imagine
Yes.
they're not. Yeah, right. So you've got realtors, you've got mortgage brokers. Yeah, what can you tell us about your ideal client? Is there anything else you can tell us, like the people you know who make a really good fit?
Ideal customers, like you said, homeowner, people who can spend 20 to $30,000 for an installation, people that want to be independent from the grid, not having to depend on what the rising cost of utilities, people that are just ready to be independent. Some of the folks we're selling solar to are also selling batteries to, so they can likely but for a lot of our customers, totally independent. If the grid ever goes down, they'll never have to worry about powering the essential loads in their home. So
Yeah. What are,
sorry, go ahead.
what other scenes or communities are these people part of that you know of typically?
I don't know. I guess when you talk about hub, I
Well,
don't know.
are these people, for example, are they into permaculture? Are they like new age people? Are they blue collar people generally? Is there any kind of pattern you see?
Pattern would be probably 40 plus people that have savings. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
retirement age. The last, let's say 10 installations we've done, let's say probably two-thirds are retired.
Okay. So one thing I'm going to recommend, there's a workbook on my website under the ebooks called the like how do you write an ideal client page?
Yeah.
And I would really dig into this. I'd really be thinking like, okay, who's our perfect client? Because the truth, you don't need everybody,
No.
but you do want to have enough clients. But so good to think who they are to really hone this as best as you can. And then, okay, so let's everyone on the call, we're going to do a little hub brainstorm. So in the chat, Nelson, you're already ahead of the game. Bless you for all your comments in the chat too throughout this. In the chat, where would Tara, you think, where could she find people who kind of fit the description that you heard? Who's already connected to them? What scenes might they be a part of? People who would be into getting solar panels, they probably also into what? Yeah, what, so yeah, realtors, mortgage brokers, house cleaners, window cleaners, painting companies.
Roofing companies comes to mind.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Roofing, landscaping, gardening companies. Yeah. Yeah. Permaculture people, perhaps.
So the next step would then be
Hold on. We're still going.
contacting them.
We're still going. We're still going.
Yeah.
We're just riffing. Okay. So people, I don't know, who fix basements, with leaks, that kind of thing. Moving companies, possibly. House cleaners, interior decorators, feng shui people. I don't know. But yeah, people who buy electrical cars or maybe kind of already leaning that way. Could be environmentalists. I mean, it's a different kind of lens, but and also I would say when you say getting off grid, it has me think people who are into prepping, people who are into what you call it, homesteading. Those kinds of people may have an interest in this. My guess is also the kind of conspiracy theory crowd could be very amenable and friendly to this. People who don't trust the government at all,
Yeah.
etc. Okay. But so first of all, you make a list like this. Now, do any of these jump out that, and make sure you save this from the chat, but is there anything here that jumps out as like electricians, for the love of God, electricians?
We are electricians.
Okay.
Well, most good solar companies have electricians that are doing installations, but
Yeah.
most not
But
so
I'll
good
tell
solar companies don't.
exactly. And I'll tell you, my friend Randall Benson, who's a big solar guy in Edmonton, he says so many of his jobs are going in to fix shitty installations that,
Yes.
cause fires and all that. But there's other electricians who may get called in to fix it. Okay.
Yeah.
So anything jump out from this list?
All of them. I've never specifically contacted realtors, mortgage brokers, or roofers, but those are the top three that I would say are excellent
Great.
ideas.
Great. So then let's just say you reach out to the roofers, a roofing company, you say, look, you are going to people's homes, you're fixing their roofs, and, bless you for it. We're a solar company and we're local, we're independent, and we think that probably a lot of your clients might be interested in what we have. So here's what we'd like to suggest. We will write a letter, if they're open to it. I mean, this is, and since you're local, I mean, go for coffee, take them for lunch, whatever,
Yeah.
sweet talk them a bit. But you say, we'll write the letter. You would email it or send it directly via mail to your clients, endorsing us. And because you endorse them, perhaps their clients get a certain discount. But it's like maybe their clients get 10% off, but they also get a 10% cut of the job. And it's like, and, perhaps any future jobs we do with that client, if they come from you, we'll give you a cut, something like this. But you offer them some incentive. So instead of spending the money on Facebook ads or marketing, you do it local through all these hubs who are already in touch with your people, already trusted by your people. And then this would be my dream. I don't know how you would arrange this, but this is what would, I think, make a huge difference right away. Okay. Well, I do have a thought, but like if you could stand up, so this list of people, let's say you had everyone in the northern part of the island who does all that stuff in one room, right? All these people, all the leaders in these fields, all the roofers, the plumbers, all that. And then you were able to stand up and say, here's why we're a better solar company. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like, look, there's these other companies. Here's the concern. If you were to do that, that would be an enormous game change because I'd be like, oh, we got to, hey, A, we got to support local. B, yeah, we want our people taken care of, and this is a better way to do it, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things you can do, and I recommend this, man, I recommend this all the time. I don't know how many people do this, but this is a killer move, especially if this is particularly if you're working locally, and you probably have some part of your work, all of you, that's local. But what you do is you think, okay, who's already connected to my people? So I'm thinking there's a woman who she made like gluten-free vegan desserts. That was her business. And she just moved to North Vancouver. And she thought, well, how am I going to connect with people here? How am I going to grow my business? And I said, have a hubs gathering. So this is what I'm recommending to you, Tara. Have a hubs gathering. All these things listed here are hubs. And so you bring them together and probably not too much overlap, but you might have Yeah, somebody who runs the car dealership who sells electric cars, or the a roofing contractor, the gardening company, homesteading, the person who runs the, hardware store, whatever. But you get all these people together and you say, look, what we all have in common. This is the invitation. You say, what we all have in common is we help people to build more sustainable, resilient lives. Yeah, to live off grid, to prepare for the storms, to be ready for when things get a little crazy. You're doing the permaculture stuff and you're doing the fixing people's roofs. Like we're helping people be able to live in this place for a long time sustainably and not have to leave, not have to move because of disaster. However, you would see that thread. And so you bring people together and you say, I just thought we should all meet each other because, we're a solar company, but people are asking us for plumbers all the time or asking us for, mechanics or whatever. So I just thought we should meet each other. And because we got to support each other, the local businesses, and they all probably have the same thing happening in their industries. So you bring everyone together. So let's say in the afternoon, from 1 to 2, just mingling, hanging out. Cater it, give some nice food. The From 2 to 3, you sit down, and I wouldn't have more than 25 people at this, but you can do multiple rounds of it, and everyone gets a minute or two to introduce themselves. Just what's your name? What's your business? What are you working on? What's coming up for you? That kind of thing. You do the go around, so that takes about an hour. And you don't need to stand up and do the whole pitch, but you can say, yeah, we're a local solar company. And you could do the little, and part of what's happening for us is we're seeing all these other solar companies coming in, and we're concerned, the quality is not as high. People are going to get screwed. The customer service isn't going to be as available. And they're using a lot of these pressure tactics, et cetera. And so we're just trying to, we're just a scrappy little business here. We're trying to make it. And what'll happen is you have that circle. You will know intuitively who you want to follow up with and who you don't want to follow up with, right? And then you just go for coffee with those people and you say, tell us about your business. We want to know who's your ideal client for your business? Who's your perfect client? And what's coming up for you? How can we help you? Just curious. But they're probably going to ask the same thing. Oh, who's your ideal client? Oh, great. And then from that, you also may come up with would you be willing to endorse this? Would you be willing to send a letter in the mail? Or sometimes it's like, hey, if you're in a neighborhood anyways, could you drop off this thing in all the mailboxes? It'd take you 15 minutes, but you could drop it off. And it's an offer. And so there's a few ways to do the offer. One is like, hey, yeah, there's a few moves. One is we're this solar company, we're your solar company, right? And they send a letter to them, or we're your plumber. We recommend the solar company. But the other thing you could do is if your clients are thrilled, you could say, would you be willing? I've seen people do this. Would you be willing? We can write a letter that is kind of from you, but you can edit it as you want. But we would put it in your neighbors' mailboxes. And basically, it's like, hi, I live down the street at 10933 126th Street, and we just had a solar company come in and they're fantastic. And we just wanted you to know about it. You know, they're really great. Maybe you offer them a cut of it. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's just, hey, your neighbors will get a deal if you do this. It's like, you get 10% off on the installation or whatever it is. But your customers can also you can lean on them. And I've seen contractors do that, with various things. And yeah, and because the letter's coming from the neighbor, it's more likely to be trusted. It's an endorsement from Frank, who they know and play street hockey with. So those are some thoughts. I don't know if any of that's helpful.
No, those are amazingly helpful thoughts.
Yeah, there's also a book. The other things I might recommend that I offer. One, there's a webinar and an ebook on hub marketing, which I would really check out. There's a couple books that I think may be useful in this moment. One is called Monopolize the Marketplace. I think it's out of print, but you can probably still find it. Monopolize the Marketplace by Richard Harshaw. And the other one is called, I can't remember who wrote it, called Marketing Without Advertising. And it's such a fucking fantastic book. It's really good. And my hub marketing ebook, there's a lot of examples that I borrowed from those books too. But I would be leaning on the hubs and building those relationships. So that's what I got.
Nice. Thank you so much.